I think I'm live. Hi, my name is Tyree Simon, and normally I don't do this. Normally I'm not the reaction guy. Probably I should, but normally I don't do that. Usually I take my time and I'll wait till the news breaks out, stuff like that. But this to me, I gotta talk about it, man. I gotta vent or just get this off my mind quick. So it was just announced just a second ago that by ESPN's Mark Ramundi did an article that the UFC has sold its branding rights to the uniforms worn by fighters in the octagon to Crypto. So Crypto signed a deal with the UFC, apparently a nine-figure deal. Apparently, Sportico is rumored that's supposed to be $175 million for 10 years. So the UFC just signed a deal with Crypto for a decade for 175 million. Now, I would think, you know what? Man, my thoughts went to, okay, what's the fighters getting? Like, the fighters getting a percentage of this? The fighters getting a percentage of cryptocurrency? Like, what are the fighters doing? And you read the article that Mark Ramondi put out, and it says the fighters have no rights, no percentage whatsoever of the 175 reported $1 million that the UFC is getting for 10 years. But they can broker their own deal individually. And my mind went straight to John Jones. My mind went straight to Conor McGregor. My mind went straight to Nate the Diaz brothers about why they constantly talk about money. You see Francis Ngannou now talking about money, talking about how he feels he's underpaid and stuff like that. If you want to know why fights don't happen or why fighters aren't active or fighters talk about money so much and feel like they're underpaid, this is why. Like, the fact that this went unnoticed, the fact that this happened without nobody like seeing that this was coming up, especially the week of a Conor McGregor fight. The fact that it's just this is being announced for a Conor McGregor card that's happening, with everybody's gonna be eyes gonna be on Conor McGregor and it's gonna do well, it's gonna do $5 million or whatever, and the bunch is gonna be on the octagon. Like, the fact that this went so unheard, nobody knew about this until it happened today. It's fucking crazy. I'm sorry for my language, but man, how the hell does the fighters not look at this collectively and go, we like, what the fuck is going on? $175 million, and the fighters don't see a percentage of that. They don't get they don't 5%, 10%. No, they don't nothing at all. The fighters. I'm going to imagine the fighters didn't even know this was happening. I'm gonna even bet Conor McGregor probably didn't know this was happening. You're telling me $175 million deal, the biggest deal the UFC's ever gotten sponsorship wise, happens. No fighter bats an eye, and they're not getting a percentage of it at all. No fighter, and lead up to this announcement goes, "Yo, the UFC's doing some bullshit." What with both deals? With both deals, that's almost about, dude. They also have Venom. Venom was announced earlier this year. They have a Venom sponsorship as we speak. They got out of a Reebok deal to go with Venom. So now they have a Venom deal and a crypto deal, which the fighters don't. I don't know about the Venom deal. I haven't heard anything about Venom sponsorships for fighters. I gotta ask some fighters that I know, but man, the fact that this went unnoticed, unheard, and that is coming out today, and we're three days from a Conor McGregor fight, it's gonna be on the logo. It's gonna be. I don't know if they're gonna have that the uniforms for the actual fight itself, or it's gonna be for the next pay-per-view. But man, like, this is fucking pimping at its best. And I'm sorry for my language again, but it's just, god damn. God, when is it gonna be enough? When is it gonna be enough for fighters to look at this and say, okay, this can't be going on anymore. This has to stop. You took away sponsorship. I didn't know. Hold on. I didn't know that, but fighters should be getting something, dude. Fighters used to. Robert, I know you watched MMA early on in 2000, early 2000s, stuff like that. Fighters used to have sponsorship deals. If you remember, you have fighters come in and they'll have local sponsorships on their trunks. They'll have T-shirts that we have. They have a banners right in front of them, right behind them before they do their entrance or their introduction. Like fighters had individual sponsorships, and that's how they made some of their money, was off those individual sponsorships. So when the UFC stripped them of that and said we want to make this more of a sport, we want to make this more of a have uniforms for all fighters. Not only did it take away the individuality of the fighters, it took away it took away money from the fighters. It took away deals from the fighters. It took away potential revenue that they could lean on and then potentially grow with said company or said sponsorship. If just think about this for a second, right? If Conor McGregor had a Hublot sponsorship, if Conor McGregor had a his own Reebok sponsorship, he can do his own, you name it, his own. Like, think about the fighters that are in the UFC today, and think about what kind of sponsorship they could have now. Like Nate Diaz could have his own sponsorship. He could come out and promote his own brand. Like this, you can name it. Like, these fighters are big enough stars now where they can have their own brand and have their own market, the way they can make a huge money. Even the people that aren't big fighters, even the people that are just coming up in the world, they can make a little bit of money off of. Yeah. I mean, Brock Lesnar had his own sponsorships. He had his own sponsorships on his trunks. You have the infamous red trunks with all the sponsorships on his logo around him. Yeah, but just think like Nike with John Jones or Jordan with John Jones. That could happen. Like, there's so many sponsorships that could happen where, okay, maybe fighters aren't getting the money from the UFC. Maybe they're not getting enough from fighting. Okay, they could get some money from sponsorships. They can make that back up with sponsorships. They can make that back up with improving their brand or growing their brand with that sponsorship or businesses. They can't do that. So the UFC stripped them of their individuality. They stripped them from money. They stripped them from creating their own brand. And they have these fight kits where we had the Reebok deal, and that lasted for however many years. I think it was about 5 years or so. Now you have this Venom deal. I don't know how long the Venom deal actually is. And now you have this 10-year, a decade sponsorship worth $175 million, the biggest sponsorship the UFC has ever seen, and yet the fighters get 0% of that. And you wonder why the likes of John Jones, the likes of Francis Ngannou, the likes of the Diaz brothers, the likes of Conor McGregor, even to a point, said, "No, I'm not going to fight. I'm not fighting unless I'm getting this. I'm not fighting unless I'm getting this up front." And that's your tippy top guys. Now imagine guys that are below them, that aren't even in the conversation, that are on the prelims, that are on the undercards. What say can they have? We talked about on the show prior. We talked about how Charles Oliveira, who's the lightweight champion now, he's been getting performance of the night bonuses, and he's been getting the $50K or whatever for however many years. He maybe sees out of that $50K, he maybe sees 10,000, maybe even less than that. When you take it to taxes, when you take it to paying your coaches, expenses, stuff like that, like the taxes, like all that adds up to where you got 50K, you may bring home 10,000 or less than that. Man, this is straight up pimping at its finest, man. Like, the fact that the UFC could get away with this, the fact that the UFC can say, "All right, we're gonna have you. We're gonna make a sponsorship off your name, off your brand, off your likeness, off your body, off your sweat, off your tears, and we're gonna make a deal without you knowing it or without you having any say in it." Oh yeah, it's gonna be for 175 millions. Oh yeah, it's gonna be for 10 years, so it's gonna be a long deal, a long-term deal, the biggest deal we've ever had sponsorship wise. Oh yeah, and you get no percentage of this, but if you want, you could broker your own deal with said sponsorship. Now, I ask you though, how can you make your own deal with said sponsorship if you already have a fucking deal with the employer? How do you have your own individual sponsorship? How does somebody from the prelims, somebody from the undercard, somebody that's not as well established, have their own sponsorship deal with said crypto, whatever? Do fighters just start leaving? No, they can't. They can't. Why? Because they're in the contract. They're in the contract. They can hold out. They can say they don't want to fight, but it's still inside contract. So they can't go. They can't go. They're not. They're not. The UFC tries to treat them like they're independent contractors, but they're not. They're employees. They're employees. They can't go. They can't go to a different organization. They can't go box. They can't go do. They can't do what they want. If they're going to compete, it has to be in the UFC. Saying that, where would they go? They can't. They can't go anywhere. They're stuck to the contract. In the UFC, like they've done with the Diaz brothers, like they've done with other fighters in the past. I'm blanking on names. John Jones recently, when John Jones was talking about releasing from my contract, he can't go anywhere. John Jones, who's the greatest of all time, who is regarded as the person that has led this generation of the UFC from the 2000s, 2010 and beyond. Some of that Dana White has even publicly said he's the greatest of all time. He can't say, you know what, I'm done here. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm not getting paid my worth, so I'm going to go somewhere else. He can't do that. He signed to a contract. Even though he's independent, he's claimed an independent contractor. He's an employee. Man, like this is freaking crazy to me. It's the fact that this deal went so under the radar until today, days before Conor McGregor fight, where all the media, all the press is all on this, and they're looking at what's going on. This deal went under the radar, and the fighters had no say in this. The fighters get no percentage of this. The fighters have to go out and get their own individual deal with said sponsorship, and they can't if you're crypto, you already have a deal with the UFC for $175 million from these other outlets. Why am I doing an individual deal? What's the incentive of doing an individual deal if I already have my money? If I'm already getting a sponsorship with the employer? You're wearing my merch. You're wearing my brand on your chest. My logo is on the octagon. It's on the mat where you're gonna be fighting on. Why do I need to do an individual deal with you? Now you could probably do Conor McGregor probably could do an individual deal. The Diaz brothers maybe could do an individual deal. Besides that, what's the incentive? Why should I ask somebody from the prelims, hey, you're somebody's coming up in the world and you're somebody that is trying to make a name for yourself and trying to earn money for your family. But you're not Conor McGregor. You don't bring in tickets. You don't bring in attention. Why should I give you an individual deal? I'm already have my brand is already on your chest. What's the point? And this is not just people coming up. It's people that are not a Conor McGregor, not a Nate Diaz, not a Nick Diaz, not a Jorge Masvidal. These are guys that are talented, elite of the elite, fighting for supposedly the biggest MMA organization in the world, and yet they're getting paid less than their worth. Who says the big names will get a separate deal from maybe, but Rob, you got to put this into perspective. If I already have a deal with your employer to wear my logo on your chest when you fight, my uniform, what's the incentive of doing an individual deal? Now, if I want to do a commercial let's say I want to do a commercial with a Conor McGregor, who's an international star. Yes, that's That can more than likely can happen, right? Outside of that, what's the point? What's the point? You're wearing my when if you whether you fight, whether you win or lose, I got a clip of you wearing my logo on your chest. What is the point? I have my logo on the UFC mat. You have to see that. Whenever you watch a UFC card, you will see that. When you watch UFC 264 this weekend, you will see that. You will be reminded that I have a deal with your employer. So what is the incentive for me to do a deal with you? The UFC, man, they are the biggest pimps. And I'm not saying this to disrespect the fighters. I'm not saying this to um devalue the fighters. It's just it's just is what it is right now, man. Like I feel bad for the fight. I feel bad for all fighters, not just the top of the top, the lowest of the lowest people that's just making it up in the world. People that are trying to feed their family, stuff like that. And hell, they can do that by fighting and wins or losses, but they could also do that by creating their own brand and making a way for themselves and maybe potentially creating business. There are UFC fighters that I've talked to, UFC fighters that you know of that have businesses on the side. Like Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier, who's fighting Conor McGregor this weekend, he has his own hot sauce business. We'd love to see a hot sauce brand on his trunks. We'd love to see him promote his brand in the UFC. We'd love to see his sponsorship on the mat of the UFC. We'd love to see, that being talked about more. We'd love to see, Max Griffin, who's fighting this weekend, talk about his charity events that he's doing and his sponsorships and his businesses that he's trying to grow. Well, let's see all these fighters talk about their businesses and promote themselves, but the UFC stripped them of that, so you can't really do that. But you're gonna go fight with my crypto uniform. You're gonna fight with my Venom uniform and not get a dime from that. But you can do your own individual sponsorship. Oh my god. Man. No, I just had to just get this off. I just had to honestly just I can't I just I can't I can't. I'll talk to the fighters if they want to talk about this at all. But man, I feel bad for the fighters. I feel bad for a fight. A 10-year deal at that. A 10-year deal, and they don't get a dime from that. All right. Well, this is my reaction to the news of the crypto deal. Um, Hopefully the fighters stand up. Hopefully they'll say something. Hopefully they'll come together. I know they'll collectively bargain for uh change or collectively bargain for a more percentage of the revenue of the sponsorship deal they have. Um, to be involved with the business of sponsorships. Like if a deal is happening, the fighters should have a say in what said deal, or create some type of fighters association where all deals will be going through them, and then they could work out their own deal of percentages and break it down and stuff like that. Like, but yeah. Yeah, but hey, UFC 264 is this weekend. You can watch Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier fight with the crypto logo presently on the chest and the crypto logo. I just asked for more money per fight. See, you ask for more money per fight, right? But that's not a bad thing, right? To asking more money per fight, but then you get to a point where, okay, let's say you're Jorge Masvidal. Let's say Jorge Masvidal, right? Jorge Masvidal and the Nate Diaz fight makes, let's say 500,000, right? Becomes a bigger star, becomes a bigger name. Now we move on to the next fight. with Kamaru Usman. I want more money. I deserve more money. Well, now you get to a point where okay, now every fight you have to increase the percentage of the money. That's not a bad thing. I don't think the UFC is going to do it because the UFC is going to look at but the numbers here don't line up, and even though your social media has gone up, the pay per view didn't do that well, or like there's always that aspect, right? Because if you notice, UFC doesn't really report the numbers anymore for pay per views. They don't record, don't really reveal the purses that are given out for the fighters anymore. So how can you compare or how can you negotiate numbers if you don't have said numbers in front of you to negotiate? Now some numbers trickle out, like if a number does 1 point, like Conor McGregor this week can probably do 1.6 million or 5 million or whatever. That's something that you want to tout, you want to promote for UFC, and now you can and now Conor McGregor can negotiate that on his next fight. If you're somebody on a come up, that's somebody that's not a Conor McGregor, how can you promote that? How can you compare? How can you talk? How can you negotiate that? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not Rob. It's not a bad idea. In overall, saying, hey, you know, ask for more money per fight, or but then again, you have to you get into parts of, well, this didn't do well, so now we got now why do you deserve that and stuff like that. Whereas in sponsorships, hey, I can get a sponsorship from that person, that person, that person, that person. I get a local sponsorship, I can get a big sponsorship. The possibilities are endless to where now I can grow my brand. And then growing my brand and growing my name, now I can get more money that way. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to fight and grow your name. It's another thing where I have all these different outlets where I'm on, all these different sponsors I could pull from, where my name's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now that can correlate to more money. So not only we get the sponsorship money, the sponsorship growth, you also get the UFC money per fight growth now because you have grown yourself as a business and as a brand. To where now more people are going to watch you. More your pay per view numbers may go up. Your viewership may go up. Your social media may go up. But that starts with your brand. So like that's my idea. That's my ideology. It's just like, yes, asking for money per fight, that can that work too and stuff like that. But also it gets to a point where, why do I have to give you this if we don't have numbers to really compare or to say that you are growing as a star. Whereas if I have a brand, a sponsorship, now I can pull from that. I have that revenue coming in. I can grow my brand that way. I can grow popularity that way. I could grow viewership that way. I could get more income that way, to where I don't really need to fight as much. I have sponsorships and I have brands and I have endorsement deals. I have stuff like I can lean back on, to where I have more chance for revenue than fighting. And when I fight, I'm a bigger name now because my brand continues to keep growing and growing and growing from these other outlets. That's the difference. So, but yeah. So again, this is just me reacting. This is me venting. I don't even know if it's my place to even vent, but I just feel so angry a little bit for fighters. And just the fact that UFC just gets away with this, and again, UFC gets away with it. If the fighter's not going to say anything, the fighter's not going to say nothing. But goddamn, when is enough? But all right, man. We'll be back on Sunday to do the UFC 264 recap show at 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. It will also be in Discord during the UFC 264 to do live reactions and live commentary. Have some other subscribers that's gonna be watching it with me. Got Toby Green. Hopefully get some other people up there as well. Please check out my UFC 264 prediction show with Elijah, with Conor McGregor versus Poirier. I think we did that pretty well. Did a lot of good feedback from that. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys on Sunday. But man, the UFC does it again. All right, see you later, guys.